Hey everyone, my name is Velton Bastian, and you're listening to AmberX. I know it's been a while since I've been on the podcast, but I'm back on with a really special guest today. She's a Georgia Tech alum, industrial engineer, entrepreneur. She is a go-getter. She is the founder and CEO of the DOS Media Group. She's awesome, I can tell you. I'd love to introduce Miss Shinjini DOS. Thanks so much for being here with me today.
Thank you, Velson. You're amazing. You're such a go-getter. I'm honored to record this with you, and I think you're amazing.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I mean, first and foremost, like what inspired you to build the DOS Media Group? There's so many media groups out there. Like what inspired you to build your own?
Yeah, it was not an easy decision. I think you know that I did it at 24. I started at 24,
That's
Forbes.
crazy, yeah.
My jump from corporate to entrepreneurship at 24. And, I think it was really difficult, to make that decision. But, a couple of things. I think first and foremost, I am a consumer, and so when I was looking at media, much like you, right? Person of color, young, ambitious, right? Go-getter, right?
Of course.
Didn't find a single platform, Belson, nor individual that spoke to me, right? On many different levels. Either the women were all body, right? And it's like, I love, beautiful women. And I think that, that's an awesome thing to be and to have and to do. But there's a point after which I'm exhausted by that, because I believe that there's so much more to a woman than just the physicality.
Exactly, yeah.
Body than just the, sexuality. And I feel like that's all I saw, after doing a little bit of research. And, if she was a speaker or coach, she only spoke to women, so if you Google any, just speakers or female speakers, the vast majority of their audience, and I'm talking like 90%, like 80% is female, right? So I sort of saw an opportunity there that basically what those, again, because I'm an industrial engineer, right? So what the numbers and the market and the landscape told me was there is no female speaker, right, who is recognized for her brains first, who, first of all, is speaking to men, right, number one.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, is also kind of a beautiful sort of amalgamation of a lot of things. The person of color thing, I mean, I don't have to tell you this, but in our market, I mean, the only person I really have, Belson, is Oprah, and she is a lot older than me and so there seemed to be a market for someone, closer in age, right, to the teenage market, to 20-somethings who also embodied all these different aspects, right? Okay, engineer, speaker, leader, also can connect with men, because that's a skill, women, and I see this in the real world, a lot of females struggle to relate to men, even at work.
I can imagine, yeah.
Which is why you see there's like this divide, right? Women doing lunch together and then guys doing lunch together. And so, but from day one, just because of my background, Georgia Tech engineer, industrial engineer, speaker, I've been surrounded by guys. When I graduated from Georgia Tech, it was pretty much 70% male. So, I mean, I didn't have a choice but to not even fight with them, right? But also win, with them and against them. I mean, I was commencement speaker, right? Class of 2014. In front of 10,000 people, one of the only female commencement speakers at the time. So I'm very used to.
Really impressive.
Thank you.
Of course, yeah.
Used to sort of not even competing, but connecting, nurturing, and competing with guys and winning. So that's when I felt like I'm just frustrated, Belson, because like I said, first and foremost, I'm a consumer. So if I don't do something about this, I am going to have to continue consuming this very unintelligent form of media content that I'm usually.
I understand that 100%. And I think that you and I are pretty similar in that aspect. We want to motivate people who honestly look like us, come from same backgrounds like we do. A lot of times sometimes people can feel that they're alone coming from a certain background. And, by being able to be a face that as a go-getter, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as someone running a media company, whatever it is, even if it's as a musician, an athlete, whatnot, just being able to show other people, hey, it doesn't matter what your background is. And that's really the whole point of this podcast that I'm making, right? I want to get people like you on here so that together we can show, hopefully one day, the whole world that it doesn't matter where you're from, that you can always, always, always do your best, try your hardest. And, as you continue to work and grow, opportunities will come. But it's first a matter of believing in yourself, believing in where it is that you come from, and understanding that your roots make you special. And from there, you'll be able to go on and grow and do really awesome things.
Totally, totally. No, and I think that you said that perfectly, Velson. And I just, want to add that for whatever reason, Velson, people like us have just not been able to break into the media the same way. I mean, every day I'm seeing more, like, Caucasian females come up, more and more. And I'm just like, what is going on? Who is keeping us out of this game? And I think that is a valid question. And it's something that I really think about, because I think it's very dangerous. I think it's very pernicious, right? That, for example, we don't have an Oprah at 40. We don't have a 40-year-old equivalent or someone in that same genre. We don't have a 30-year-old. We don't have a 20, we don't have a 50-year-old. Like, what happened? So I think that is something that is very troubling to me, because yes, I, absolutely believe that we should, be representations to other people and all. But my other question is, you and I are very young. So what did other people do? I mean, did they just like forget about this before us? I mean, what happened? Or were they kept out? And in which case, that is a very scary thing.
It is. And I think it's really hard to pin that answer, that question, to like one answer, because I feel that it can be a huge variety of different topics. It can be something that started right from the beginning. Like, were there different amounts of accessibility to resources that would have therefore been able to lead people to be able to go on and do what it is that they want to do and grow in media? Or is it the fact that it's simply, people are choosing certain types and subconsciously choosing certain types of people to represent what it is that they want to see on media? Like, that's something that I personally can't say right now. I don't know. But what I do know, though, is that there is people like you, especially like you, who are working on, making that into a change. And as a media group, I mean, what shifts are you seeing in society, like when it comes down to this? Because I understand that, things have been happening a certain way for a certain time, how people are represented. But right now, what are you seeing in society when it comes down to how different people are being represented?
Yeah, that's a really great question, Nelson. I think a couple of trends that I'm seeing with representation in the media, I would say first start with, definitely this explosion of educated people of color, with degrees, right, with backgrounds, with real knowledge, to share, who are coming up. And I think, they're tired of the BS. They're tired of being represented the wrong way. They're tired of feeling like there are no opportunities. They're tired of the privileged circle, right? And you see me tweet about that a lot, because is the definition of the old boys club. And actually, I will also add the old girls club, where we're seeing a lot of these very privileged women who are doing their own thing, and here we are sort of again on the outside looking in, wondering where we go from here, you know what I mean? So, but I am seeing this trend of, again, people of color sort of breaking out and saying, hey, we're here, we belong. And I'm really seeing us starting our own platforms, which I think is the way to go. I mean, you've seen me advocate very heavily about entrepreneurship. I'm a speaker of the state, right? And that's my niche. I mean, that's my specialty. That's what I talk about. That's my spiel is digital entrepreneurship. So I, more than anyone, believe in the power of creating your own platform. So I'm really proud to see that, from a smaller scale. And you're seeing, the power of social media. People are starting their platforms online, and within just, months and weeks and years, they're amassing this huge following, right, of millions of followers, and they're turning that into, live events. They're turning that into, like congregations, right, for people who, right, because not everything is, skin color based, because I'm also sort of, against that, and I think we need to come together on higher levels as well. seeing people come together, in person. We're seeing people, really find solidarity and community online, which is why I'm such a proponent of social media. And I get very upset, when there's so much hate, negativity, and just poison around social media, because, my favorite saying, Belson, is it is a choice. No one is forcing you to tweet, right? No one is forcing you to on Instagram, right? No one, like, this is not it's, no one's forcing you, so I just don't understand, so much hate and negativity, because it is a choice. And if you are not able to resist the choice, that's on you. You know what I mean? I am seeing just a tremendous amount of these small business owners rise on social media, which I think is fantastic and amazing. And that's my spiel. And frankly, that's what I am, so I'm just very proud to be a part of this trend. And then, at a higher level, I think we're seeing some real businesses start on social media, which I couldn't be more proud of, because you're seeing a lot of women, right, start social media businesses. You're seeing a lot of just men from minority communities. So again, this underrepresented people are finding voices and really some serious cash online, and then offline. And for me, I could not be prouder. I could not be happier to be a part of this trend.
It is a really, really awesome trend. But you did mention something which I do kind of want to ask about, because you were mentioning how, you're a small business owner, you're a minority, you're a woman, you're working on growing your small business online. But I think, one thing that I really, really value, just this is me personally, I love hearing what went wrong and how did you make it right? What were the struggles that you went through growing this? Because it's, the way that you explained it to me, there's so much stacked. Sometimes it can feel like there's so much stacked up against you.
Yeah.
So, what did you do to get over those type of things?
Totally, and I'll be honest with you, Wilson, the first thing was mental, and it's interesting because when you hear my spiel, right, as a go-getter, first generation, immigrant, not even first generation, I'm an immigrant in America. So like my kid would be first generation, but I'm an immigrant, so like, I think the first thing was even believing that I have a place at this table. Because again, looking at the media, especially American originated media, right? Because I knew that, when I start this, people are going to see me as American, right? I'm not walking as, from India, born and raised in India. I'm not walking as born and raised in Asia, right? So I am acting as a figurehead, right? That I'm American. But there's very few minorities like me who are even doing this in the media. So I think the first block that I had to get over was because all of this is very much like me at the forefront, right? Like when you hear, see the Das Media Group, it's mine, right? The GoGetter, that it's Shinjini's, right? So I think the first, block was me believing that I could become, whatever you want to call it, an influencer, a celebrity, a figurehead, whatever, face, right? Because face-wise, Belson, I'm not Black, I'm not Latina, where do I belong? In America, there's just very few Indians who've made it in Hollywood in the way that I want to make it, right? There's not a whole lot of examples. There's not, really that many role models, and for what I'm doing, right? Because I'm not, actress first, I'm not dancer first, right? So where is my niche? So I think the first block also was mental, was me realizing that, okay, in the sea of all these, sort of basic women, right? I was like, hey, social media, like I have a place. And you follow me, you know that I'm relatable, you know that I'm normal, but you also know that I have a level of gravitas around my content and around who I am, which is very for not really even a female, but just rare, period. And then when you add in my just, gender, age, it's really rare. Everything from my tone of voice to what I say to what I do. So there's this level of just seriousness, of gravity, to what I'm saying and how serious I take it. And so I think the first mental block was, or challenge, was, do I even have a place here? Does anyone even care about anything other than, makeup and beauty and fashion? I really, women, this on Instagram, the majority of female influencers are beauty, fashion, and makeup. That's it. The motivational accounts have a fraction of the followers of traditional celebrity accounts. I mean, I'm not, you just have to go and see the numbers yourself. I mean, these are publicly available, right? So the first block I had to overcome was, do I even have a place in this market? Because I mean, I knew from day one, Belson, I'm not trying to be, an influencer. I'm trying to be a global celebrity. So if a global celebrity were to build her brand on business and motivation versus,
that would set the tone. Yeah. That
right?
would set the tone.
Versus, movies and beauty and makeup.
Exactly.
Then, does she even have a place in this market? And at my age, I mean, you have to factor in all of it. I mean,
There's a lot. Yeah. 100%. 100%. I mean, I love that. I love that fact, because personally, all that you said right there, the concept of mental blocks, the concept of seeing where it is that you fit when it comes down to putting it out there. It's really, really hard to enter the social media niche, I would say, through business, not what is common, but trying to go in through business. It's like, well, you don't look like usually someone who would be going through business, people might think, or, it's just kind of awkward because you're breaking that norm. You're breaking that stereotype. You're doing something.
Totally. And I'll say this, I mean, when I first started, and I had my initial pictures and everything, there was a lot of conversation. Oh my God, you're so beautiful, you're so this. But Belson, I'll be honest, I did not want to build a brand as a model.
Exactly.
As I don't know, beautiful. Like that's just not my scene. It's just not. I enjoy it. I love fashion. I love this, but that's not my number one. So it would feel, disingenuous to me if I did that. Whereas, I mean, if you noticed, I mean, those were the posts that were getting the highest clicks, right? Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're so this. Because again, what are men and women used to, Belson? Beautiful women on social media, right? We're not used to listening to them. We're used to seeing them.
Looking and seeing and moving right on to the next.
Right. Not really hearing.
And that's something that I think that we can change. But, you're really, really active on social media. You mentioned that you're always on social media, especially Twitter. You're always on Twitter, maybe, I don't know how many times a day, but I know you're really active on Twitter. So I'm trying to get that active on social media in general. Yeah. But I know that you're using the hashtag GoGetter a lot. And I made sure to include that when I was saying the intro, because I really wanted to highlight that. Yeah. I think the go-getter movement is really, really, really important and pivotal, and something that I think people can be taking on as a brand itself to be a go-getter. So, because you're the one who I feel really uses it the most, can you explain that, like what it is that you're trying to do with the go-getter hashtag, or, is it a brand already, or what is it?
Yes, it is a brand. It is my brand. Basically, the DOS Media Group, is my company, and the GoGetter brand is a brand of the company. So you know how major companies have holder brands, and then there are brands under the holder brand. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So for example, Alphabet, right? Alphabet has Google, right?
Yes.
So DOS Media Group is my Alphabet, right? And GoGetter is my Google. So that is the exciting part. I am still seeing if it makes sense. I mean, I'm not really going to treat it as a company. It's functioning as a brand. Revenue-wise, everything in the future, from the merchandise lines, from the podcast, from all these different media platforms that we're working on, merchandise, all these other partnerships that we do, will all factor into the DOS Media Group revenue, because I'm really trying to keep everything simple about it. I mean, I'm not trying to move around with 10 different companies. I just don't think that that's even efficient, right? So, because I know people do that. People are like, if I did this LLC, that LLC, that, and I'm like, this is very confusing. I don't know why you need 5 when you can just have 1, And I'm also trying to focus the audience's attention, right? Because if I now were to say, GoGetter LLC, this LLC, Shinjini DOS LLC, the DOS Media Group LLC, that's just very confusing.
Of course, yeah.
So yes, it is a brand. It is my brand. I am the go-getter girl. And really, I am on a mission to empower go-getters, right? So we're sort of moving away from the girl and guy, because now I'm like, you know what? You're a go-getter. I really don't look at gender. I mean, I don't look at your sexuality. I don't look at your age. I don't look at your ethnicity, right? You are a go-getter because you are going and getting your goals, because you want to go and get your goals, but somewhere you feel stuck. Somewhere you feel that, you are lacking motivation, right? Maybe it's that you are not
Yeah.
able to motivate yourself, right? Or maybe it's honestly, you don't even know what to do. Like you are motivated, but you just have no idea what action you want to take, right? So in either of those situations, Wilson, you are my target audience, right? Because you are a go-getter and you come to me because I give you solutions to solve your daily business and life struggles and problems like a go-getter. So any
110%. Yeah.
that you've seen, for example, like the toxic thing that I did the other day, it was like, oh, how do you deal with toxic people? Do you move on? Do you engage? My next point, which I'm getting to, because that tweet already has like 25,000 views in barely 24 hours,
Yeah.
right? Getting to a go-getter would handle toxic people like this. So I think what you're going to get with me and my media platform and video subscription platform and future merchandise line and all these other things that we're working on is you're going to get actual actionable solutions to your daily problems. And then, oh, by the way, that's called living like a go-getter. You know what I mean? And I think that's
Yeah.
going to be powerful because right now, the state of the media content that we're seeing, I don't know if you read a lot of just self-help stuff, but there's just not a whole lot of solutions. It's a whole lot of commiserating. So it'll be like, yeah, breakups suck, absolutely. And then it'll be like, he never wanted you. He never will want you. And I'm just reading that going, I don't understand how this is helping anything, And then the answer is
Crazy.
that it's not, right? The answer is that saying stuff like eat ice cream for 3 hours after you break up doesn't help anyone,
Doesn't
right?
help anyone. Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Why can't I create this media platform where I have actionable, literally number one, number two, number three solutions? Oh, and by the way, if you do this, you're solving your problem like a go-getter, right? Which is where you're getting like that positivity, the mindset, the energy, all the things that people now know me for, right? Is, oh my gosh, you're so empowering, you're so inspiring, you're so this. So I'm really trying to bottle all that up into our media content. And that would be living like a go-getter, which is sort of the brand. I mean, the article that came out recently in Profile Magazine, the title was like a go-getter, and that's something that
Yeah.
people are catching on to because they're like, I want to do it like a go-getter. I don't want to just do it. I don't want to just live. I want to live like a go-getter.
You want to go after it 100%.
Yeah.
I personally, I have this belief in myself that if you were not quote unquote given something, that it's for you to go and get.
Yeah.
Don't just accept that it's not given to you. And that's like one of the things that I really live by every single day.
Perfect. I love that.
And yeah, so I mean, the fact that there's a whole go-getter movement, I mean, I'm pumped because that's part of my day to day. 100%.
When I will say this, Wilson, when I was thinking about how to commercialize this brand, because I mean, as you know,
Yeah.
when I started, there was a lot of energy, there was a lot of buzz, but in order to really move forward with the brand, I mean, you have to have a name, you have to have an origin, you have to have a story. I mean, it's not that easy to just run with, a brand. I really thought about it, and that's exactly why I chose this, Wilson, was because there were already people, and I'm talking millions of people on social media. I mean, if you search, for example, on Instagram, the hashtag GoGetter, it's between 1 to 2 million posts, easy, right? So there are already people, Wilson, who self-identify as go-getters, right? So for me, if you think about from an audience acquisition standpoint, it is easy for me to get them, right, into my go-getter fam because they're already go-getters, right? I'm not having to convince them, by the way, do you know this? And they follow me because absolutely they want solutions to their problems. Like, you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is I sort of back engineered the whole thing versus me creating a brand and inviting people to it. I almost surveyed the market and then picked up on a niche, on a bubbling sentiment, and then I created my brand around that. You know what I mean?
I completely get you. I do.
Yeah.
And, like I was saying, that's really, really interesting. It's really, really crazy the fact that, this is something that's in people and it really takes someone like you, really takes someone like, other go-getters to kind of bring that type of spirit out of people, internalizing the whole fact that you need to go out and get what it is that you want. And, it's not always going to be given to you 100%.
Totally, totally. Well, and I think what's also empowering about it, because by the way, this has become my, battle cry and mantra, and every time I'm feeling down, like, but I'm a go-getter, so like
Go-getter, yeah.
I live by, and I think what's beautiful is that, every time I say that, I realize that I can go create it. And I think there's
Exactly.
because I think the minute you say stuff like, well, I wasn't born into it, my dad doesn't know people at CNN, you're sort of reinforcing this idea of, again, privilege. And by the way, when I say privilege, it's usually white privilege, right? It's usually classist, right? So we're moving away from that. And I think saying something like, and you see me say this all the time on Twitter, go get it, right?
Of course, yeah. Go get it. Go get it's the 100%.
You go get your goals. So I think there's something very powerful about putting the control in your hand versus my hand.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it real quick, though, the whole concept of that. And this leads me to ask another question. Were you always entrepreneurial, or, was it from the beginning, or did you kind of get a revelation or something in the middle of your college experience? Or like, where did it come in that you knew, hey, I want to start a business?
Yeah, what's funny, Wilson, from day one, I think coming from an immigrant family, by the way, I mean, we, God bless, we've been very blessed, and we are very blessed, and, we would consider ourselves upper middle class. So, really, I haven't seen, that much struggle in my family growing up. But I also come from a single income family. So, there was only one person earning, right? And so what that does is it just adds a lot of pressure, even if that person is making a lot, right? There's always this tension that if this person loses their job, that's it.
That's it.
So growing up, I heard a lot of that, of just like, we just everything, be careful, be this. And that's what I'm saying, from a young age. I mean, I was an only child for almost 13 years. So I sort of, grew up with my parents, and I sort of told myself, I said, when I grow up, I'm going to have unlimited money. Not because I spend unlimited money, just to clarify, but because then I don't have to worry about money at all. Like, period.
That's a huge thing. Like the worry that comes from not having money, I can tell you right now, I'm 200% in that, scheme of not having money and understanding how it's not the reason why I want money right now is not so that I can go and like blow $100 on a dinner somewhere fancy, but it's that if my tire like decides to just like, I don't know, get a flat, that I'm not like stranded in the middle of nowhere figuring out my options. It's tiny things like that, getting rid of that anxiety, figuring it out. Like, what is life going to be about? Well, it has to be about a little bit about money too. It's really important.
100%. And I think what happens is, and by the way, I mean, neither you nor I is saying that, hey, if you have money, you have no problems. I mean, as we both know, that's not true. But I will say that if you have money, money is not going to be a problem. I will say that because
exactly. 100%.
I know that to be true. You know what I mean? So I think for me, that was the number one goal. I think what I also realized, because again, you and I are both smart, you and I are both very smart. So what I did.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
It's true. I did some research, on, like the richest people or whatever. And then I saw a trend again, industrial engineering. I'm all about trends. I'm about data. I'm about spotting demand. I'm about reading demand. And the trend that I saw, Belson, was the richest people in the world are entrepreneurs.
Oh, yeah.
And that was something that I discovered, I would say probably maybe even in college. I don't think this was before college. I think this was maybe after college, in my 20s, right? In my 20s, 21, 22, and our early 20s, very early 20s, 20 to 22, right?
Exactly.
And that stuck with me. Because because again, if I want money and that's what I want, and the richest people in the world are building businesses, what does that mean? That means I have to build a business in order to attain that level of wealth. But at that time, barely, having graduated from Georgia Tech, I mean, that wasn't even on the cards, right? But what happened was, again, I'm a public speaker and competitive public speaker, and I was really trying to get some serious opportunities to speak on campus, and not just like little groups, not just like, oh, it's a seminar, it's a two people here, like real stages, and frankly, I was having some struggles doing that because, again, Georgia Tech is a science and engineering school. Nobody does public speaking now. Nobody
Yeah.
did for me. Nobody will probably ever do that after me. I don't know. But they didn't really get it, and so I literally had to spend years sort of convincing them of like, okay, this is what I mean. This is what so long story short, the last year of my college experience, so age 22, I just got so frustrated with them not being able to see what I wanted to do, which is essentially speak at a public stage, right? Not three people, two people, one person, right? I can do that myself. I can record myself in front of a mirror, right? Like I don't need two people there, right? So
Exactly. That makes sense.
you know, when they didn't get it, I was just so frustrated that I started making the first move. And that's how my brand was born. So in 2014, at age 22, I started, applying to all these different speaking events. And then that led me to being the commencement speaker in front of 10,000 people at Georgia Tech at age 22 in a stadium, in an arena, right? And I thought, you know what, this is it. And frankly, Wilson, I still remember that day because I told myself, I said, I'm not going back now. This is it,
That's it.
I start making my moves. I start growing my career. I start doing everything. And the thing is, Georgia Tech also taught me that I am capable of doing that. Because if you think about it, coming from that kind of a background, very white, very conservative, very male at the time, right? For me to rise to what I had achieved, I mean, it was nothing short of a feat. Much less, and I also was on a full ride President's Scholarship, which was also a feat, right? So I was very comfortable being like, you know what, like I have grown my career from nothing, stepping foot on that campus, to being a commencement speaker in front of 10,000 people. I can do this and then some, oh, by the way, and I can make some money. Because sales is my strength. Like that's something from day one, like I've naturally been very good at and gravitated to. So for me, I was like this is golden, and then I was discovered by the media. And immediately I was like, done. Like, thank you, God. Like, this is my ticket. Because as you know, getting into the media is very difficult as a person who's not from this space.
Of course. Of course.
Unless you're an influencer who goes viral, which I did not, how do I do this? I mean, how do I even enter this world? I mean, I remember the first interview on TV, someone from the Today Show, the first thing she said was, have you ever been on TV? I said, no. She said, okay, great. Thank you so much. And that's when I was like, what? Like, how do you break the system? So, because I hear this a lot from actors, right? So they're like, oh, I want to act. Have you ever acted before? No. Okay, great. And I'm just like, what on earth? I mean, you have to give someone an opportunity. Like, I mean, that's, so anyway, the long story short, that Georgia Tech was really the test ground, and I think I passed, and now here we are, and I'm just doing that at a higher level.
You're there. I mean, there's something I really want to highlight, though. I was doing, while I was reading up on you and, kind of getting to know you more in the kind of like background research type of thing, I realized how quickly you went from, it's 2014 that you started, 22, and so 2019 now, it's just a short 5 years later. What are you, 26, 27? But still, that's so crazy. I mean, the fact that you went like that fast, I mean, what was it? Was it like motivation? Was it the go-getter attitude? Was it just a combination of everything? I mean, because your speed is really, 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 really awesome.
Yes, and my typing speed, right, Wilson?
Yeah, of course. For those of you that don't know, like we were typing, trying to figure this out beforehand, and I could hear her typing on the keyboard, and I was like, wow, you type really, really fast. We both type really, really fast. So I don't know. That's just crazy.
Well, and I think I honestly believe, Wilson, that your typing speed is a function of your intelligence, right? Because think about it, you're typing what you're thinking, right? And if you think really fast, you are very intelligent, and so you're typing really fast. That's what I think. So
hey, you never know. You never know. 100%. You've accomplished so much though in these past 5 years. So my question for you right now is, what's next? What are your plans for the future? You've kind of mentioned them, but what is your like solid plan, if any, for these next couple years or for the next 20, 30, 50 years? Like, what's the plan?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking. And, I do want to say the one thing that I think some people forget is, yes, I have a competitive public speaking background, and I started at 14. Literally, my first speech was 14, started competing at 15. So yeah, I mean, I have a lot of experience, Georgia Tech, even though I, was sort of reluctant on doing those seminars, I did them, and I was commencement speaker, but, I did not handle stages until after graduating. Which, for those of you listening, speaking in front of one judge at a public speaking competition and winning is very different from speaking to 200 people, right? In a live audience situation where everybody has a different reaction and has a face and has, you have to, it's a different skill. It is a different skill. That is all I can say. But again, be a go-getter, but also like I'm very confident, so the confident person in me, even at 22, said, you know what, I really haven't done this. Because even if you think about a commencement speech, like it's just sort of one and done, right? There's not a whole lot of interaction. It's not like everybody's asking you questions afterwards, whereas the speeches that I started giving after commencement, I mean, it was Q&A. It was, hey, I lost my job. Real things, and here I am, I'm 22 years old, my first speech is at General Assembly, with 40-year-old women, and men who want to jump from a job to a career, which is on YouTube, and
I saw that one, yeah.
I hadn't even started my job. So, what am I gonna say? So I think, long story short, I think it was one of those things where I know I can figure it out, right? It wasn't that, no, I know this. It was no, that I can figure it out because I have enough practice and skill, sort of at least speaking, not the other part, not with audience interaction and everything else. So I just want to clarify that, I was a complete amateur at 22, and I went professional as a public speaker in 2016. So age 24. I've been professional now for 3 years, which, as you know, is very different from like, hey, I speak, hey, it's like a very different level. So, to quantify, you're saying how fast, it's actually been even faster than that, because I really started with nothing. And my publicist told me that too. She said, that I can't pitch any of this to like media, right? Because like it's like an amateur level. And I was like, yeah, but like I'm good. Like literally that's all I said. I was like, but I'm good. And so, because media, it's a different level. You can just be like, yeah, I speak in like my backyard. Like it's, you have to come out with the goods, So I think for me, that's the biggest thing that I'm proud of, is I've turned this complete amateur skill. Yes, I had a lot of awards, I had a lot of trophies, but again, trophies are not money. Trophies are not live audiences, right?
No, they're not.
Jump from that to this, it's really, I'm very, very proud of it, and again, I'm Indian. There's just not a whole lot of Indian public speakers who command audiences the way I do. Last week, I just wrapped up an 8,000 stadium go-getter, speech. And that's a lot of people that frankly people years into their career haven't handled, So for me, I'm very proud of that. So I just wanted to, elucidate for everybody listening that it's actually been a lot faster than even what you said.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but no, I think it's energy. I think it's, I think it's hustle. I think it's strategy. I think it's determination. I think it's passion. I think it's drive.
Yeah.
And
so, yeah.
just, knowing that I'm trying to get to somewhere and I'm starting at the very bottom. So the only way to make it in the time that I want to make it is to hustle as hard as I have. So I think it's just being very, intelligent about your options, and maybe that's not going so hot for you, and how to fix
that. 100%. I get that. I have one more question for you. And I think this is probably one of the most important questions that I'm going to ask out of everything, because, I'm hoping to get these podcasts to the point of where everyone around the world is listening to them.
Right.
And you being one of the first people on this podcast, these are going to be the episodes that I'm going to be spreading everywhere. I'm already spreading them, but I'm going to be spreading them more.
Yeah.
This question is, what would you like to tell anyone trying to grow themselves right now? They're trying to grow themselves in business, regardless of anything. What is it that they came to you, they asked you, please tell me something. What is it that you would love to tell them?
You got to be a go-getter, Belson. That's what
100%.
you have to go get your opportunities. You have to go get your goals. You have to go. I mean, where is the action? You know, because a lot of the people and, individuals that both of us come into contact with, their list of goals is the earth, the moon, and the stars. The minute I ask, what are you doing? All of a sudden I hear complete radio silence. And for me, coming from a data background, I try to explain to them that statistically it is impossible for you to achieve anything without taking action. So
Exactly.
want to write a book, where is your first chapter, right? If you want to become a professional public speaker, where is your first speech? And if the answer to all of that is nothing, then you have some work to do. So I think it really comes down to being a go-getter. It really comes down to making the first move. It comes down to creating a to-do list and, hey, starting on that to-do list. I mean, what I've achieved is not magic. I mean, I'm honest with you, I did not have any help in any of this when I first started. I mean, completely left to the dogs, really, left to the dogs. So if anything went wrong, I knew that it would be on me, right? So from day one, that meant that I was studying more. I was reading up on, just before you, called, I was looking at someone else, she's touring right now. And I was like, okay, so, what is her deal? Like what, I mean, I'm constantly studying Nelson. And it's funny because a lot of people make fun of it now. They're like, oh, you're studying actresses. I was like, I don't know if you think this is funny, but like her movies have grossed billions of dollars and
Exactly.
millions of, like, it's not like, I don't understand why you think what she does is a joke, because I think when people hear media and entertainment, automatically they think it's a joke. Like everything is a joke. It's funny, it's like stupid, being an influencer is stupid, but it's like when you quantify the impact of like, okay, Instagram per month, the monthly user base is greater than populations of some countries.
Exactly. Yeah.
Opportunity, and then as a result build $1 billion business off of Instagram. All of a sudden now people start to shut up. So I think that is what I would say to everyone, is that you've got to be a go-getter. You have to make the first move. You have to take the first step. You have to take action. And then ultimately you have to take repeated action, because it's not a one and done thing. Being a go-getter, as you know, is a lifestyle, right? And we're the go-getter family.
Of course. That's 100%. Well, I really, really appreciate you taking the time with me, Miss Shinjini Das. You are really awesome. Thank you so much for taking your time here. Guys, please make sure that you check her out on social medias at Speaker Shinjini. That's correct, right?
Yes, and I do want to add, Belson,
Yeah.
your future vision plan for everybody listening. Basically, Belson, I am building the Das Media Group in our team. We have a whole bunch of freelancers, all over the world who work with us. Really building a media platform, which is obviously my first area of focus. Because right now social media is great, but as you can see, we're almost outgrowing social media at this point, because altogether we're doing like 7 million plus views a month, across all my channels. And now it's like, okay, like where's the platform? Where's our own platform? You know what I mean?
Exactly. 100%.
Article where you can comment on, how being, a person of color in your community, like let's have these conversations, and let's bring these experiences, to life. And so I wrote my first memoir at 26, right, called Unapologetically Shinjini, which you can get at unapologeticallyshinjini.com. So there are plans of turning that into, audiobook, paperback, hardcover, the whole 9 yards, and then building this media platform out where you can come to solve your issues, right? Life problems, business problems, and the whole idea is you solve it like a go-getter, right? And then we're also working on a video subscription platform.
Yeah.
Because there's been a huge demand of, people are like, okay, I'm starting a business, I want to grow my business on social media. What do I do? Can you help me? And that's when I'll be like, go watch this playlist. And then we're going to price it at, sort of around that $20 a month mark for unlimited video access. So that's something that we're working on as well. And then just other D2C, things, merchandise coming out with the Go-Getter brand. And then, on our end, we are working on a whole bunch of media partnerships. So for example, a sales training company has hired us to promote their coaching services, to promote their sales conference. And then they're also using our hashtag Go-Getters. And then that way we're bringing in Go-Getters into their movement to drive sales via social media. So we're working on a bunch of media partnerships, starting a lot of conversations, and then we have our current existing portfolio of media partnerships, which again is more like B2B. So I think what people are more interested in is the media platform. And
Yeah.
then of course,
Is there a platform? Is there a
we're,
platform?
we're building that, which is why everything that
Okay.
the website and everything, we've really had to take everything down and just refurbish because we've grown so fast.
That
That
makes sense. Yeah.
like was just not relevant. So we are in deep dive mode, but everything should be live soon with the websites and everything. And then the media platform give us some time for that. We are working on all of it. So, I mean, it's not overnight, as you know.
Yeah, of course. But so right now, if after listening to this podcast, if people want to start checking you out, what is the best way for them to get in contact with you, or what is it? Is it through social media or?
Yeah, please follow me on all of my social media channels at Speaker Shinjini for Go-Getter Motivation.
Yep, it'll be in the description below. It'll be there.
Yeah, go-getter motivation to live your life like a go-getter. For me, my social media platforms now are actually functioning as my media platform because there's just so many people on there. So I'm really now scaling my efforts as an influencer and really hitting the big leagues because yeah, Twitter we're almost at 200,000. Instagram, I think we can be at 100,000 very soon, honestly, just because a lot of people, who use Twitter have Instagram. So I'm really exploring the industrial scale influencer side of these platforms now, because I think before it was like, oh, I'm rising up and coming, but now I'm like, I have more followers than some movie stars. So I mean, now it's like, let's go, you know what I mean? And you follow me for inspiration and motivation to live your life like a go-getter who goes and gets their goals.
100%. Thank you so much again for having this meeting with me. Guys, make sure you check her out. Everything will be in the description below. Make sure that you listen to every single word that was spoken here because it's really, really important. The fact of being a go-getter, it's going to change your life, all right? Being able to go after it. Miss Shinjini, thanks so much for being here with me.
Of course, Melton. Thank you for having me. And you said it, man. I'm totally with you. We're go-getters.